Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Chef Yusuf Show, where you will learn to cook the Islamic way. The title of today's episode is Food that improves our memory. Alright, everybody cares about improving his or her memory. If you ask any Muslim in the world, do you care about improving your memory? The usual answer we get, yes, of course. Every Muslim wants to memorize Quran, memorize Adhkar and Hadith, or any certain knowledge in general. So what I want to do today is I want to examine some of the foods that could help improving your memory and your brain function, and at the same time I want to talk about some of our advices from our early scholars regarding how to improve your hifz and how to improve your memory, inshallah. Everything we see on this table it belongs to one of the categories that some of the compounds or foods that improve their memory. For example, we have our omega-3 right here. We have, of course, the folic acid and fatty acids. And also we do have the antioxidants, of course, the berries, tomatoes, and some of the herbs like rosemary and sage. We do have some natural compounds like anthocyanin, for example, the red cabbage right here, or the polyphenols. The compound anthocyanins. We also can find this compound in red onions. We can find it in vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, for example. And nonetheless, when we cut the red cabbage, we can see from the texture of the cabbage itself, it looks like the texture of the brain. Now, we spoke about this in the previous episode, some of the foods that looks like the body parts, and somehow Allah is communicating with us and telling us that this body part or this food is good for that body part that looks like it. So for the red cabbage, I'm going to make something very simple, very quick. It is the salad, the red cabbage salad. So basically we're going to chop them really thin. And at the same time while I chop this, I'll mention some of the things that our early scholars have spoke regarding improving our memories. And the main thing, which is the main thing for everything, is the intention. Ikhlasul niyyah, the purifying your intention. What is your intention really for? Is it for really pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal, or is it because to show off and let other people see that you became a hafid or you became a scholar because of your memorization? And that does affect your memory, because as soon as the people doesn't praise you, what happens to the human mind? No need for memorization, so you will stop memorizing. So the main thing that we have to do is we have to purify our intention. As Allah said, every action is with their intentions. So again, those type of people, when people stop praising them, they will stop memorizing, because they're not doing it for the sake of Allah, but they're doing it for the sake of people. So purifying our intention is the number one thing that we have to do. And as you can see, I finished chopping the cabbage. What we'll do, we'll go ahead and put some lemons on this and some olive oil, and we are basically done. Alright, so inshallah the second thing on our menu will be the fatty acids and what we call the omega-3. The omega-3, we can find this in many of our natural fish, like the salmon, the char, the shrimp, the rainbow trout. And we can see that the salmon, it has the number one value of omega-3. So to prepare salmon fish is really easy, guys, because salmon has its natural flavors. All we do, we'll go ahead and rub it with some salt and some black pepper. And we don't want to, mess it up with different spices, because salmon has its own natural flavor, and we don't want to mess that. But if you prefer to use a sauce, we can use the tartar sauce to put it on the side. So these foods, they fight disease because of their high omega-3 and fish oils. It contains important nutrition for our brain. All right, as you can see, I did heat up some olive oil and with some a little bit of butter, and that way it helps not to allow the butter to burn. So what we'll do, as we said, we'll take the salmon and we'll fry it for 2 minutes on each side, inshallah. In the meantime, while this is cooking, I'm going to go back to the topic about the intention. So how do we purify our intention? That's the really question. The best answer or one of the things that our early scholars said, is to make dua, to ask Allah to purify and to correct our intentions. Just want to connect dua with the water of Zamzam. Now, the water of Zamzam, for a lot of the early scholars, they used to drink the water of Zamzam for the purpose of increasing your memory. And of course, there's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ says, the water of Zamzam for whatever purpose you drink it for. So a lot of the early scholars, they used to drink the water of Zamzam in the purpose or in the intention to improve their memory. So as you can see, after 2 minutes, it will look something like this at one side. And if we flip this over, you can see how it looks very delicious, very brown, golden texture. This is where you want to get it at. Do not overcook the salmon because you need it to have it a little bit of moist inside of it as well. So we're going to put this aside. We'll put this aside. So next thing we have on menu is, of course, I spoke about the omega-3 from the salmon. If salmon is very rare in your locality, the other ways you can get omega-3 is through nuts. Actually, this is the other ingredient that looks like our brain that I spoke in the earlier episode. So the best way to eat almonds and walnuts is to eat them as a snack with honey. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ used to love to eat sweet things with honey. So this will be either our appetizer or will be our snack for the day. And the other thing I want to talk about is, of course, the honey itself. Imam Zuhri, he spoke about that the honey used to improve your memory, and we know from the current science that honey contains the sugar molecules that travels inside your blood within 7 minutes, and we know the brain is the biggest consumer of sugar. So it does improve our memory according to the science and according to Imam Zuhri. So, and we can eat it and we can enjoy the way the Prophet ﷺ used to eat sweet things as well. Okay, some of the other things that can improve our memory is some of the herbs like rosemary and like sage. These herbs, they have antioxidants. They do protect your brain from diseases like Alzheimer's, and just like blueberry, red berry, raspberry, blackberry, and tomatoes, they all contain antioxidants. Okay. These antioxidants, fight free radicals, toxics, byproducts of natural cell metabolism. And please do not ask me what am I talking about because I'm not really sure, okay? But what I'm sure about that, if you want to improve your memory skill, you should stay away from sin. Why? Because sinning will destroy your ability to memorize and forget what you already memorized in the first place. So there is a story, the famous story of Imam Shafi'i when he met his scholar, Waki' ibn al-Jarrah. Shafi'i, he was complaining because he lacked memorizing, or at least to his own standard, he had a problem memorizing. We know Imam Shafi'i has enormous memory ability. So Waki advised him to stop sinning, and he gave a description or an example on how knowledge is like a light, and light is not giving to a sinner. So as you can see, we go ahead and so we'll put this aside for now. So now guys, a lot of the foods, now this is not just all of the foods that will improve your memory. All of the foods that contain, for example, the B6, B12 vitamin is good for your memory functioning. And I'm going to put the wheat here. I'm going to tell you that avocado, wheat, and any folic acid like spinach, black beans, soybean, eggs, yolks, what's it called, Baitinjan, eggplants, they all improve your memory because Allah Azza wa Jal put some ingredients and some compounds in it to improve your memory. So finally, I'm going to go ahead and end up here, and I'm going to make myself a nice salmon sandwich. Right, so I'm going to get myself some either mayonnaise or tartar sauce. Another thing that our early scholars said, to improve your memory, basically, you really have to put some effort to it. And this is, a concept that for everything in life, whatever you want to achieve, you have to put your effort in it. Today we live in an age, everybody wants the easy way and they want the shortcuts. And subhanAllah, nobody wants to make any efforts to memorize because everything is available online and you can get all of the information on the internet. And we always tell ourselves, like, there's no need to memorize it. I can go and look it up, in Google or, for example, in the internet or in the library, whatever. Some of the people say, I have more knowledge than Shafi'i and Bukhari and Muslim. It's like, how can you say that, brother? It's like, it's easier because you ask me a question, I'll go home and I'll go ahead and search it on the internet and I'll get you the answers. And they think that they are the biggest scholars of the world. So that's not real knowledge. The real knowledge is what's up in here. Finally, the final thing I want to say is what happened when we memorize the Quran, when we actually memorize our Quran from our young age. That does something to our brain physically, and it will allow our brain to absorb more memorization in the future. And that's why when we see a lot of the Huffaz, after they finish memorizing the Quran, they continue and they go ahead and memorize other like they go ahead and memorize hadith and Sahih Bukhari, for example. So it does something to the physical brain. And usually if you ask any of the Hafad, if they were your friends, for example, they will tell you that memorization was very difficult in the beginning. But after a while, what happens? It becomes very natural to them, you know. So it's in the beginning that what is difficult, and then if you have the intention and if you make dua, inshallah, it will become easy and natural to you. And the other thing is, once we stop memorizing, what happened to our brain? It's not just we forget, it's not like we are not able to memorize anymore, but it goes backward. So we start to forget what we actually memorize, and we don't want that to happen. So inshallah, consistency, keep memorizing and do not stop. The last thing I want to talk about is actually, acting upon what you are memorizing. For example, if you memorize the dua for traveling, for example, so what you need to do is you put that dua to use. So every time you go and you travel in the airplane or in the bus or in your car, we'll go ahead and put what you memorized to use, and this way it will help you, keep the information in your head for the long-term memorization. And for a lot of people, the best way to memorize is to teach other. So for example, when I was preparing to teach you this lesson, this gave me the ability for myself to memorize a lot of the things that I am saying. So a lot of people also, they used to go around when they memorize something, a lot of the early scholars, and they used to ask the people on the street to, let me tell you about this hadith, and they keep narrating and repeating, and they try to act upon of what they memorized, so on and so forth. And they say that repetition is one of the best ways to memorize. So for example, if you repeat something 500,000 times, you'll probably never forget it in your lifetime. Repeating is one way. There is other way, but there is no secret formula here. Whatever is easier for you. Some people like to memorize in the beginning of the day. Sometimes they do it in the later in the day. So there's no really a formula for this. Whatever is easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and inshallah finish up here. I'm going to go ahead and review some of the things that we learned. We learned that purifying your attention will help you in your memorization. We also learned that water of Zamzam and making dua to memorize and to purify your intention is also something to improve your memory. Next is stop sinning. If you're committing any major or minor sins, try to stop sinning, because sinning will definitely will not help you to memorize to keep what you memorize, and also it allows you to forget what you already memorized. So I want to thank you for watching the Chef Yusuf show, and if you're interested about the Arabic version of this program, you can click on the link over here. And inshallah, we do thank you for staying with us. Enjoy your meal. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I go, I forgot to mention one thing. One of the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ that most of the time, or most of the people in the West, they forgot to do, and it does increase your memory, is the hujama. Hujama is basically cupping, where they put a cup on your back, they suck it, and then they lash your back when the blood comes out. This is 100% sunnah. You can find it in all of the authentic hadith. A lot of the youth and the people in the West especially, they prefer to use modern medicine, and they don't accept the sunnah. But for you, brother, if you believe that way, I just want to mention one thing, is that the Israeli army, they do cupping every 6 months, just to let you know. And they do that to keep them fresh, they keep them active and in shape. So I just want to mention again, hujama is one of the things that does improve your memory, and we should go ahead and perform it if we can to the best of our ability. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have a nice day.